Ah yes, a subject Marvel fans know too well is Thor's hammer, the mighty Mjolnir. It is said that only a worthy few can lift Thor's hammer, but what if we told you there's been quite a few who have held the hammer? Among several that have been worthy, there are few other secrets about the hammer that you might not know. Want to know what they are? Watch our video to find out. But before we get started, swing on over and smash that subscribe button and join our notification squad. And most importantly, you'll be mighty.
The Jotuns must learn to fear me, just as they once feared you.
That's pride and vanity talking, not leadership. You've forgotten everything I taught you.
Mysterious origin. With any cool superhero weapon, we are always curious to know where it came from, right? Especially when it comes to some of the most popular comic book characters. How did they come to own it? Where did it come from? Well, if you're an avid Thor fan, chances are we might be preaching to the choir here, but there have been several different versions of the Mjolnir origin story throughout the years. Essentially, they've all been variations of the same thing. The hammer was forged by the dwarves, smelted in the heart of a dying star, and most importantly, it was enchanted so that only the worthy would be able to wield it. However, in Mighty Thor number 12, Mjolnir drags Thor to the halls of all-knowing, where the true origin tale is revealed. It begins with the dwarves gifting Odin the gift of Rouge, which is the most mystical metal in all the realms. Later, Asgard was threatened by the God Tempest, a sentient superstorm, so Odin battled it for days before he finally trapped it inside of the Rouge. Odin commanded the dwarves turn the magical metal containing the storm within it into a weapon, and bam! Mjolnir was born.
Who led you into the most glorious of battles? You did.
Mjolnir is kind of alive. In the halls of the all-knowing, Thor asked the librarian if the hammer is alive. We've wondered it ourselves since it seems to listen to Thor. The librarian responds that it might have been once. You see, after it was trapped in the Uru and turned into the weapon Mjolnir, Odin gave wielding the hammer a go, but as with most storms, they can't be contained or controlled, and in this case, the God Tempest still retained its power. And so the hammer refused to be tamed, causing havoc all over Asgard as it flew out of control. The hammer even tossed Odin around the galaxy before finally returning to him to Asgard. Talk about out of control. And eventually the God Tempest died, not without leaving its power inside the hammer. Can you blame Odin though? You'd be pretty upset if you were tossed around the galaxy like a ragdoll, would you? The hammer was later passed on to Thor when he proved himself worthy. For those of you who love ad-free viewing and free things, we're excited to announce the Premium Network. The Premium gets you early access to videos from CBR, The Gamer, Screen Rant, and many other great channels. Literally thousands of videos in one place with ad-free browsing. How sweet is that? Sign up for the Premium by clicking the link to start binge-watching videos from your favorite channels. The hammer has a sibling. By now we know that in the comic book world, pretty much anything is possible, right? Even the rules established in comic book story worlds can be broken. Nothing is safe, almost like Game of Thrones. One thing we love about superheroes is when they team up with other awesome superheroes, or, at the very least, interact with them in some way. One hero that has something in common with Thor, the god of thunder himself, is X-Men member Storm. She is a mutant with weather manipulation, so of course it makes sense that their worlds cross, right? Well, whenever something goes awry, we can't help but think of our favorite trickster god Loki. It's thanks to his interference that Storm comes into Thor's world. Loki created a hammer similar to Mjolnir called Stormcaster. You gotta give him points for ingenuity, that's for sure. He gave the hammer to Storm as part of his plot for the Asgardian throne. The hammer gave Storm power similar to Thor's, but she rejected Stormcaster initially. A few years later it came into her possession and she became a goddess of thunder, even more powerful than she ever was. With Stormcaster in hand, she battled Thor, but instead of hurting him, she took his hammer and destroyed Stormcaster. She proved herself worthy when she surrendered all of that power not just once, but twice.
I got places to be, a face to fix, and bad guys to kill.
The merc with the mouth. Most of you will have already guessed that this section involves our favorite fourth-wall-breaking mercenary anti-hero, Deadpool. Believe it or not, he actually got a hold of Thor's mighty hammer. What could possibly bring Deadpool into Thor's world? Well, aside from wanting to pull pranks on or mess with Thor, in this case, it was once again the trickster god himself, Loki. Like a stereotypical annoying TV brother, Loki manipulates Deadpool into stealing the hammer. While Thor is on a heroic mission, as per usual, he drops his hammer and Deadpool gets to work. Amid the chaotic and heroic situation, situation, Wade Wilson sneaks in and steals the hammer. Deadpool takes the hammer on several fun misadventures like ordering fast food, using the hammer as a bat, and on carnival games. But really, what did you expect him to do? Surprised he was able to take the hammer? Well, it might seem too good to be true because it actually was. The hammer he was holding was actually a duplicate created by Loki. It gave Deadpool the illusion of Thor's powers and definitely created a lot of trouble regardless. We would love to see these two stir it up some more together in the MCU.
It's terribly well balanced.
Well, if there's too much weight, you lose power on the swing.
Several are worthy. It was believed that the hammer of Thor was only to be wielded by Thor himself. After all, he is the only one that's worthy. Well, it turns out that he's not the only one that's worthy. On more than one occasion, the all-powerful hammer has been wielded by several heroes. In the Marvel What If series, Rouge took out Thor and gained enough of his abilities that she was able to control the hammer. And if the hammer is made from metal, what about mutants that control metal, say Magneto perhaps? Well, in Marvel's Ultimate Universe, Magneto is able to manipulate the air around it and control it that way. Let's not forget that in the Avengers film Age of Ultron, the humanoid robot Vision casually picks up the hammer and hands it to him. While shocking, it also served to show that Vision could be trusted. Let's not forget that Captain America has lifted the hammer twice, once to hand it back to Thor and the other to rally the Avengers to fight off their enemy. And of course, Loki has also held it during an event called the Inversion, when he became the god of heroism and truth. But of course, that wears off eventually.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
Even DC is worthy. As much as we love comic book team-ups, we love crossovers even more. What could be better than your favorite heroes from separate comic book companies joining together? Nothing. DC Comics and Marvel had planned an epic crossover long before it actually happened. But why did it take so long? Well, it began in '79 but was shelved, with the JLA/Avengers not being released until 2003. However, it was totally worth the wait. Superman was able to use Mjolnir to deliver an epic smash to an enemy, but later when he tried to pick it back up to hand to Thor, he couldn't lift it. Turns out the hammer can be a bit temperamental, and the worthiness can change from moment to moment depending on specific actions. Before the crossover, however, there was a short series that answered our question, who would win in a battle, DC or Marvel heroes? When Thor was defeated by Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman found the hammer and picked it up with ease. She was endowed with powers, but these same powers made her too noble to fight with an unfair advantage, and so she left it behind and lost. We hope one day the cinematic universes crosses and we get to see Thor and Wonder Woman trading weaponry secrets.
Thor.
I saw something in that dream. I need answers. I won't find him here.
It remembers. Thor's mystic hammer does everything you'd expect it to, and more. It shouldn't surprise us that the hammer, which was created by Norse god Odin with help from dwarves and the magical metal Uru, had so many special abilities. The weapon is so much more than just a hammer. It also deflects attacks, revives people, can open portals, travel through planets, and even hold memories. Much like a nifty and much cooler flash drive, the Mjolnir actually holds Thor's memories. In Avengers Disassembled, Thor finally meets his demise. The apocalypse quickly approached Asgard and Thor was ready for impact. Thor willingly embraced his end as he was hoping to be reincarnated into the next cycle of Norse gods. But things didn't go according to plan, and the new god of thunder, Tanarus, took his place. And boy, did things get sour. The new Asgard was terrible and everyone forgot Thor. He only existed in the memory of Loki. He floated around in the afterlife, his soul almost lost forever. But with the intervention of Silver Surfer and Kid Loki, he was able to make it back to life. His rightful place by Mjolnir is restored when the hammer finds its rightful owner in the next life. As soon as Thor holds it, his memories are instantly restored. Talk about an awesome memory capacity.
That is no longer my name. My name is Dracula, son of the devil.
Vampires hate it. Let's face it, Mjolnir can take anyone down. Even in its basic hammer form, no one is safe. Do you know that anyone can withstand a whack with a hammer? No, we didn't think so, but the hammer is mighty. Above all else, it is magical. The enchantment makes it something else, something that's actually holy. Let's not forget, after all, Thor is a god, and the hammer is a creation of the Norse god Odin. So technically, the hammer is a religious artifact, almost like a crucifix or holy water. While we're in the world of comic books and fiction, one of the most iconic characters is of course the vampire. If we know anything about vampires, is that their weakness includes sunlight, a stake through the the heart, and of course religious relics. Case in point, Mjolnir, which has come in handy when Thor has battled the undead. In 1983, Thor had to battle a legion of thirsty vamps, none of which would be complete, of course, without the legendary Dracula. Luckily, Mjolnir was effective in turning the Nightwalkers into dust with its holiness and mighty powers. Is there anything this thing can't do?
I suspect for Amora, exile on Midgard is punishment enough.
I am not concerned for Amora, but for the people of Earth who may face her wrath.
Shapeshifter. Like most superheroes, our Thunder God had a secret identity. When Thor was first making rounds in the color pages of Marvel, he actually was known as Dr. Donald Blake, his civilian secret identity. This human identity was created by the Norse god Odin, aka Thor's dad, as a human host for his son. Sometimes parents have to send their kids to learn some lessons and humility, and that's just what he did. Thor was sent out so he could learn to be humble among the people of Midgard. Harsh dad, but hey, we understand. Sometimes parents have to make difficult choices. Well, Thor only regained his true identity and his source of power when he was on vacation in Norway. He was exploring a cave and found a magic cane in there. It turns out this mysterious cane was actually Mjolnir in disguise. Mjolnir's shape-shifting abilities came in handy when Thor had to go between his two identities. Can you imagine a doctor with a giant hammer? That'd be pretty frightening to see. But in a more practical sense, the hammer's ability to transform was also great as an anti-theft mechanism. Who's gonna even pay attention to a crappy little cane?
And not what you intended. So there may be no way to make you trust me. But we need to go.
Thor isn't worthy. When we think of Thor, we automatically think of Mjolnir. What if we told you at one point Thor becomes unworthy? Believe it or not, Thor's unworthiness stemmed from one single sentence uttered to the god of thunder a few years ago. What could have been so soul-stirring that his ability to wield the mighty hammer would be taken away from him? In a series called The Unworthy, Thor, the god of thunder, is on a search for a new hammer to claim, now that Jane Foster has earned the worthiness of wielding Mjolnir. When Thor, Odin's son, is faced with a chance to claim the ultimate Mjolnir for himself, he chose not to. He knew that the weapon wasn't really his to wield. He was protecting the hammer from the grasp of the greedy Collector and Thanos. Thor now agrees with Gore in that gods have forgotten the mortals below them and have shirked off their duties to the wider cosmos. It turns out that Thor believes that all gods of Asgard are unworthy of the hammer and the adoration they have received.
Is that the best you can do?
You had to ask.
Did any of these surprise you? Did we miss any? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're here, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like and share our video, and be sure to check out more awesome videos in our playlist. Thanks for watching.